everyone, I'm Pierrette and welcome to my kitchen. Today we are completing our Easter dinner menu. So I've already posted the video for the ham, and there's the video for baked beans, homemade baked beans, and now we're going to tackle the potato salad. So we've got some red potatoes here. I like these best for a potato salad. These are decently sized potatoes, not too big, not too small. So when they're about 3 inches across like this, I typically like to assign 1 to 1.5 potatoes per person and 1 egg per person. And that usually makes a perfect side dish. So today I'm making enough for 4, and I'm gonna start cutting up the potatoes. And you always wanna have on this side a bowl of cold water to soak your potatoes in so that they don't turn black before you get them in the water. So I'm cutting these down so that they are about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch. The more evenly you can slice them, the more evenly they will cook, so you won't have some that are too mushy and some that are, still hard. So I'm just gonna dunk these in the cold water. You may notice I use a big knife for everything. I know a lot of people use smaller knives for a lot of things, but I kind of prefer to have the knife do the work for me. So the weight of the knife in this case makes it easier for me to apply less pressure than if I have a small knife, like a paring knife. It's just always how my dad cooked. My dad was a chef, and when I was a little girl, he ran the restaurant at the top of the Dunes Hotel, which, if you know anything about Vegas history, was a really old school, big time hotel back then. It was very famous. So a lot of what I learned from my dad, and some of what I learned from my mom. She was French Canadian and also an excellent cook. So my dad was a very good chef, and my mom was an incredible baker. So I was very fortunate to have both experiences. Okay, so we have our potatoes done. They're soaking, and I don't know if you noticed, but I already have 2 pots of water boiling on the stove. One is for the eggs, the other is for the potatoes. And I did leave the lid on those because the steam, when you trap the steam, the hot water comes to a boil faster. So we're gonna shift over to the stove top, so follow me. I have hot water boiling in 2 different pots. The smaller pot, we're going to remove the lid and turn the heat off. And I'm going to take these eggs and slowly, carefully drop them into the hot water so that I don't crack them and get those weird lumps on the outside that you get when they boil and cook on their own outside of the shell. And we're gonna let these sit for 13 minutes. And when the timer goes off, they'll be ready for us to cool, peel, and slice. And we're gonna tackle the potatoes. So the potatoes have been on a low boil, and we're going to take them out of the cold water that they've been soaking in. Be careful that you don't burn yourself. Might not be a bad idea to use a slotted spoon here as well. Yeah, that's much easier than the dodging the boiling water that's splashing up. Now this is going to take a minute to come back up to a boil, and that's fine. What I like to do with my boiling water, a lot of people add salt, but I prefer to add a little bit of this better than bouillon in the chicken flavor, because that gives it salt, but it also gives it a little bit of flavor besides just salt. So that's kind of the secret that I use. I'm gonna add a little bit of this to the broth and put the lid back on, and we're gonna check back on these potatoes in just a few minutes. The eggs are done. I'm going to put them in the ice water and let them cool. And I'm going to drain the potatoes in the colander in the sink, and then I will meet you back at the island. Our potatoes have been drained and rinsed a little bit, and they're currently draining. We are going to crack some eggs, and I usually crack them and roll them to open them up. And I'm going to put the shells over here. And if you cook them exactly the right amount of time, they should peel very easily. A dead giveaway that you may have overcooked them is if they're really, really hard to peel. If the shells are sticking to that inner skin, that's usually a sign that maybe they weren't cooked all the way. So these are coming off pretty easily. So in the first direction we sliced it, they're a lovely light yellow, but not so light yellow that they look powdery. We sliced it in this direction. Now we're going to rotate it 90 degrees and slice it in the other direction. If you are not inclined to use the egg slicer or you don't have one, chopping them is fine. I just like how tiny this gets the pieces. That's why I use the egg slicer. We have potatoes and eggs, and now we're going to start to add our creamy stuff to make it delicious. So we're going to start with, for this amount, I'm going to guess we're going to need about 1/3 cup of mayonnaise, but I'm going to try to measure it out for you. I don't normally cook by measuring. I do everything by sight. So it's been a learning experience for me to measure things and get used to doing it that way. So that's about 1/4 cup. We're going to add just a little bit more to make it about 1/3. And then we will start mixing that up. And we'll see if we need more. We can always add more. So same thing, we're going to measure our yellow mustard. I want to shake it up first. And this I'm going to start with a tablespoon. It has very strong flavor, so if you are not a fan of yellow mustard, either go easy or don't use it at all. I personally do like it. I think it adds a nice kind of rounded out flavor to it. But again, if you're not a fan, you don't have to use it. And then a little bit of the Dijon mustard as well. That's a tablespoon also. And then I'm going to sprinkle in about a teaspoon of garlic powder. There you go. And a large teaspoon of minced garlic. And actually this is more like 2 teaspoons. And then we're going to also add a little bit more of the better than bouillon in a chicken flavor. And I'm going to add about a teaspoon to start, maybe a little more of a rounded teaspoon. And if we need more, we can add more. This is going to take the place of our salt. So the only thing left is dill. And I do want to add a pretty fair amount of dill. My recipe, I don't use any dill pickles or dill pickle juice. I rely solely on the spice dill for that little sour note that we're looking for. And I personally love the way that this tastes. And it ends up being a little bit less runny without the juice from the pickles. So here we added about 1/3 cup of mayo and a tablespoon of mustard and a tablespoon of yellow mustard. We did a teaspoon of garlic, a rounded teaspoon, which means a teaspoon plus a little bit more of garlic. And then we did a tablespoon of dill. And this is looking pretty good, just like this. So I think this looks great. If you like it a little bit creamier, soupier, feel free to add a little more mayo, but I don't like mine too soupy. I like it creamy and smooth and flavorful, but not a ton of mayonnaise. I'd rather taste the other flavors. So I'm just gonna stir this up, and I'm gonna top it with a little bit of fresh parsley, and we're gonna call that done. Just give it a taste to make sure. Oh yeah, that's dead on. I'll top it with some parsley, and that's gonna be a great side dish for our dinner table on Easter. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you have enjoyed this recipe or any of the others, please subscribe and share our site with your friends or our recipes with your friends. We'd love to have some new subscribers and grow our community. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.